Just had a couple thoughts on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, and the first thing I wanted to talk about was the whole Daniel Bryan and McMahon segment. Um, Daniel Bryan going out there with that little montage, and they wanted him to change into this corporate image, and Daniel Bryan ends up going out there and basically trashes the corporate image. Basically says that I'm gonna be me, and it doesn't matter what the company wants because I'm gonna be the champion and all that sort of stuff. And it was very good to the storyline. I loved something like this because basically Daniel Bryan saying that I'm going to be me, screw this image, and then when I win the title, these fans are going to be cheering for me instead of booing for something that they don't want to see, for example, John Cena. And he started talking down about Cena, and he's like, I'm not going to be someone with my face on some cereal boxes. I'm not going to be an idiot in cargo shorts and a yellow T-shirt and all that sort of stuff. And it was very adding onto the storyline because it kind of added that little edge because it kind of looked at like as if John Cena picked Daniel Bryan out of spite or out of some sort of jealousy because Daniel Bryan called him an entertainer and he called himself a bona fide wrestler. So it was a very good segment, and other than the unnecessary beatdown that they did on Wade Barrett, and they ended up shaving him and stuff. That was pointless. That had no meaning whatsoever, and I don't know what Wade Barrett's in the doghouse for. But other than that, the segment was very good, and it added on to the storyline overall. That's just a few things I wanted to talk about there. Alberto beat up on Ricardo Rodriguez after he lost to RVD. That's just a little minor thing I didn't really want to talk about there because I don't think it deserved a whole lot of mentions because it didn't catch me at a very good moment. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was the John Cena one, the John Cena responding to Daniel Bryan. And this promo right here was probably my favorite John Cena promo after WrestleMania. I'm not going to mention any of his promos he did with The Rock or anything he did before then with Kane or anything like that. Or not Kane, I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan. Why the hell? Or not, Dolph Ziggler, I'm sorry. Anything that he did with Dolph Ziggler, anything he did with The Shield at Elimination Chamber, and anything he did with The Rock. I'm counting all that out. This is probably my favorite John Cena promo because he left all the jokes at home. He left all of them at home. All of that sort of stuff. It was amazing. He had so much charisma tonight. The way he walked down that ramp, the way he had that just fierce look in his eyes where he's pissed off, all that sort of stuff. The way he even held the damn belt up was just so good. That's the charisma I would like to see. Keep the jokes aside and just be serious for a minute. And that's what Cena did. And all the while got this storyline just went from a level 8 to a level 10. This was a great promo. It definitely gets me hyped up for SummerSlam next week. And the crowd's chanting boring during this entire thing. I don't know how the hell they're chanting boring because obviously they don't know how to cut good promos and shit. This was a good promo. And the fact they're calling it, hell, the only reason they're calling it boring is because they hate John Cena. And that's another thing I wanted to mention. Why? I want to know why people hate Cena. That's one thing. More so the people that just despise him. People when his music hit, they get out of their chairs and they boo their heads off at this guy. I want to know what happened with that. That's all I want to know. This guy, this promo was very good, and then Randy Orton ended up walking out saying that, oh yeah, well, it doesn't matter who walks out SummerSlam, blah, 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 blah. Same thing that every Money in the Bank winner ever said. It doesn't matter who wins at this event because I'm the Money in the Bank holder, and it doesn't matter because I'll walk out champion, I'll be champion, blah, 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 blah. I just summed up Randy Orton's entire promo in about 30 seconds. Then the Shield run down. The Shield come down, they start, looks like they're about to tussle up with Cena and Orton, and then Daniel Bryan walks out. Lo and behold, we got a 6-man tag match for the later tonight. Cena's promo was excellent, and I loved the fact that he still had that edge in his character that he had with The Rock earlier this year. And when he's serious, he's gold. He is gold on the mic when he is serious. when he walked down there tonight, he meant business, and I hope we see more of this Cena in the future. Another match that was added on to tonight's, that was added on to SummerSlam, besides the Cody Rhodes Damian Sandow match, was Kane versus Bray Wyatt. It was mentioned during this promo that we were going to have maybe like a quote unquote ring of fire, where some people are already throwing that up there that it's a mention to the Inferno match. And knowing WWE, knowing their content ratings and stuff, I don't think they would have a match where they would light their opponents on fire, and I don't know how that would influence kids. But it's whatever. I mean, I would definitely love to see something like the Inferno match come back to pay-per-view. I mean, hell, I don't even remember the last time we saw one of them. I think it was Kane MVP Armageddon 06, I want to say. Was it 06? Kane MVP. I'm not, you guys, most of my older fans know I'm not very good with my years, so if I'm off by a year, I'm definitely very sorry, but I do think it's 06 actually, now that I think about it. For once, I'm actually proud of myself that I got a year right. But anyway, we finally saw the return of Monster Kane. Thank God when he challenged Bray Wyatt to that match, it was just so breathtaking. It just like I had goosebumps because I knew this was the monster we were all waiting to see. Thank you, God, WWE, for finally getting rid of that crap that he did with Daniel Bryan last year and that stupid anger management thing. And it had its moments. Definitely. I'm not gonna crap all over that entire storyline, but it had its moments. But I'm glad to see Monster Kane back. I'm very glad to see something like that happen. So, yeah, I guess Bray Wyatt's he's going to be fighting Kane at SummerSlam, and that's one thing I want to mention about Bray Wyatt. I don't know if it's just me, or I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but he seems to be getting very repetitive, and I'm not like he's mentioning the same things all the time, and I'm not saying that it's not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I mean, you can definitely repeat yourself, just don't do it like overly the top, you know what I mean? Like otherwise you won't be taken seriously and stuff, you know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, all of them just sound the same, but it's just don't do it too much or it just feels like it's just being very, very repetitive. And actually, one of my good friends on here at Tommy CB, make sure you follow that man, by the way. He mentioned, he's like, oh, well, it looks like Dean Ambrose is starting to get very repetitive as well. And I could definitely agree with him at some points. But, it seems like Bray's just starting to get very repetitive because I've watched a lot of his NXT promos. I've watched a lot of his FCW promos. And it's just, with the follow the buzzards thing. Well, that's his kind of catchphrase. I can understand that. But the King of the Jungle thing, looking for the whereabouts, then follow the buzzards, all that sort of stuff. It's all been said before, and that's the only reason I don't really, I'm not a fan of it. Now, granted, it definitely gives some fans that didn't get to watch NXT or something, it definitely gives them something new to look at. But, it just doesn't do it for this guy. But I do love Bray Wyatt. Don't get me wrong. I do know where people get their cheers for him. Basically, I understand why they like him. So. That's that. We had another beatdown, CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar 2. Brock Lesnar ended up coming out during their CM Punk's match with Curtis Axel, which, by the way, his 15 minutes of fame are done. Just give the IC title back to Barrett or something. I think Barrett desperately deserves it a little bit more than Curtis Axel does right now. But, yeah, Brock Lesnar, one of the most intense moments of the night was when Brock ended up hitting a belly-to-belly on Punk on the outside. Then Punk ended up jumping off the announce table onto Lesnar, and a steel chair got involved and everything. And basically the entire thing ended with Brock Lesnar hitting an F5 on CM Punk. And again, just added onto the storyline of Punk versus Heyman, and that's exactly what's apparently going to be happening next week. We're going to be getting CM Punk versus Paul Heyman, and Punk is finally going to be able to get his hands on Paul Heyman, but knowing the mind of Paulie Dangerously, I'm sure he has an ace up his sleeve. So don't be surprised if Lesnar or Curtis Axel, or for some reason they're both working together, they both come out and they start trashing CM Punk or something. I think next week we'll find out who's going to be winning that match. I think whoever's going to be on the defense on next Monday's Raw is, I think, going to be winning the match. So it depends. It might be Punk. I don't even know who could win because, I mentioned it on Twitter that Bray, or not Bray, why am I saying Bray? Brock Lesnar is a guy who hasn't said a word in about a year, but he's over. He's more over than about 90% of the entire roster. I don't know how that is. Well, actually, I do know how that is, and that's 2 words by the name of Paul Heyman. So, it was definitely like it was a good segment to get this Punk to keep the Punk Lesnar match fresh in our minds, that we know that both of them are going to be able to deliver in 2 weeks' time. So it's definitely a very good thing to see. And then we saw, Kofi came back, if anybody really cared. And then we saw the main event, The Shield versus Daniel Bryan, John Cena, and Randy Orton. I sometimes call some of these guys, I called Santino's mainly the PG police, but I don't think in this, I don't think it would work in this sort of predicament. Anyway, the Shield ended up beating the crap out of the other 3, and it all just kind of went to shit right there. Randy Orton ended up RKOing John Cena and Daniel Bryan right after the match, kind of signaling, kind of teasing a little bit there, but that's all it is a tease, guys. That's why I found it pretty funny when a few weeks ago when people were they were talking about what the hell were they talking? They were talking about how Randy Orton turned heel when he RKO'd Daniel Bryan on that episode of SmackDown. It was funny to see something like that. And here's one thing I want to mention with this Randy Orton thing, and especially we saw a lot of it tonight. You will know when he turns heel. We all know it's going to be coming, but you will know when he does turn. Tonight, just exactly like SmackDown was just a teaser. That's all it was. A teaser. WWE's teasing you so you're not expecting it, so that when Daniel Bryan does beat John Cena, because it's pretty obvious at this point, that when Daniel Bryan does beat John Cena for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, we're all going to be so wild up. We're going to be chanting yes at our screens. We're going to be beating our pillows. We're going to be beating everything in fucking sight. We're going to be cheering up our asses and shit. And then when Randy Orton walks out there, RKO's Daniel Bryan, and wins the title, we're just going to be so awestruck. We're going to be so pissed off that all of that energy that we just used to cheer for Daniel Bryan is all going to be coming back so that we could boo at Randy Orton. And it's very clever booking by WWE, especially something like that. That's all it is. We're going to be so angry that when that's all they're using. Daniel Bryan's ability to get over is only going to help this Randy Orton heel turn that we all have wanted to see for so long. And then who knows where Daniel Bryan's going to be going, but Randy Orton will be turning heel at SummerSlam. I think we can already kind of make assumptions there. So you guys know exactly what happens with assumptions. When you make assumptions, or when you assume something, you make an ass out of you and me. So, whatever there. That was pretty awkward. Anyway, that's all I had to say about tonight's show. I think it definitely got a thumbs up for me tonight, despite all of the crap that they tried to show the Total Divas and all that sort of stuff. And I might make a video on that. I don't even know. Anyway, that's it for me today, guys. Let me know what you guys had to say about Raw tonight. A few things before we go off. I want you guys to follow me on Twitter at the PTE Show. I might be making a new Twitter, and I'll definitely keep you guys on the alert when it comes to that stuff. And I have this Ask FM thing going on. I want you guys to ask me a question on there so you guys can be featured on my a Q&A video I'm going to be doing in a couple days / weeks. So I think when I get enough questions is when I'm going to do it. Anyway, everything's going to be down in the description box below. Thank you guys for watching. I am out. Peace.